Masonic Lodge Meeting, USA, Arizona, 1897. A man sleeps in a sarcophagus during a bombing raid, London, 1940. The hairstyle of this Victorian fashionista is adorned with a taxidermy cat, and the bodice of her dress is decorated with real cattails, 1883. Presumably the last photograph of Adolf Hitler, taken 2 days before his death. Hitler inspects the ruins of the Reich Chancellery, April 28, 1945. Removing from friends in the 20th century. Many who fell out with friends or relatives would cut their faces out of photos. German soldiers greet Soviet tanks with flowers, Poland, September 1939. The first Coca-Cola bottle sold to the public, 1894. The floating church of St. Nicholas the Wonderworker, the only ship in the Russian Empire with a fully functional Orthodox church on board, 1910s. On the ruins of the Brest Fortress, 1961. Albert Einstein with a girl on his lap at the opening of the 1939 World's Fair in New York. Bombing for peace is like having sex for virginity, a famous slogan used by hippies during protests against the Vietnam War in the 1960s. A masquerade ball, Ball of the Illuminati, hosted by the Rothschilds in 1972. Coffin beds in a Salvation Army shelter in London. This is one of the first shelters for the homeless, around 1900. For over 10,000 years, women of the Ainu people tattooed Joker-like smiles around their lips. It was believed necessary for marriage and peace in the afterlife. The painful ritual involved cutting the skin with a knife and filling the wounds with soot. A failed kamikaze attack on the British heavy cruiser on July 26, 1945. The impact was made by a Japanese Army reconnaissance aircraft. The bomb fell into the water before the plane collided with the ship's hull. The pilot died in vain. In the 18th century, ladies carried a vinaigrette, a case with ammonia acetic mixture or dry smelling salts. Due to corsets, they often fainted, and a few breaths from the vinaigrette helped them quickly recover. Bells from Buddhist temples in Kanazawa were confiscated to be melted down for military purposes. Japanese Empire, 1942. Prisoners in stocks and an executioner with a knife, 1899, Persia. Lotus feet, an ancient tradition in China, was a fetish based on a woman's helplessness. The mutilated feet prevented her from running away, which gave the man a feeling of power and tempted him with permissiveness. Rare photo of U.S. President Woodrow Wilson in which his famously bad teeth can be seen, 1910s. Black prisoners serve disciplinary punishment, USA, 1937. Doctors perform artificial respiration on a drowning victim while a woman in a swimsuit poses, New York, 1940. Girls participate in a Miss Beautiful Eyes contest in Florida, 1930. To make the competition fair, contestants had to hide their entire face except for their eyes. A Frenchman gives Winston Churchill a light, 1944. December 1942. A bomb labeled New Year's Gift for Hitler. A Chechen woman carries her belongings through the ruins during the conflict between Russia and Chechnya, 1995. In the 1930s, a woman's pregnancy was determined by inserting her urine into frogs. If, after 15 hours, the frogs started laying eggs, it meant the woman was pregnant. A Bear artilleryman fought in the Polish army in exile during World War II. He helped Polish gunners unload ammunition crates and even carried shells during battle. A protester against the Vietnam War places a carnation into the barrel of a soldier's rifle aimed at peaceful people. 1967. British soldiers blinded after a gas attack, waiting in line for the doctor. Equipment for whipping in a police station. United Kingdom, late 19th century. Taking out garbage from an apartment where two brothers collected about 130 tons of junk. One of the brothers tried to crawl to his paralyzed sibling but was buried by debris and died, while the other died of hunger. 1947. Bob Marley, accused of marijuana possession on his way to court. London, 1977. Soldiers participate in a staged photograph to illustrate the harmful effects of ignoring a gas mask during a gas attack. France, 1916. A live child is found in Chernobyl after the explosion of the nuclear power plant. 1986, Ukraine. A crowd tries to overturn a car with a black family during racial riots in the city of Clinton, USA, 1956. In Africa, a baboon named Joseph worked as a signalman and conductor on the Pretoria railway line, performing his duties without making mistakes and successfully ridding the trains of fare dodgers. New York, 1954. Kashmir Giants with traveler Professor Rickleton, India, 1903. Pearl Harbor after the surprise attack by Japanese aviation. Hawaiian Islands, 1941. Residents of Hanoi after an air raid warning. Vietnam, 1967. 11-year-old Grace Bedell from Westfield, New York, wrote to Lincoln, advising him to grow a beard to look more appealing and win a bet, which her brothers promised to vote for him if he did. English language sign "Here was Forge," installed at the ruins of the city of Forges-les-Eaux, almost completely destroyed during World War I France, 1917. Model for the Statue of Liberty, 36-year-old Isabel Boyer. Group photo of the crew of the British battleship Hood. After the battle with the Bismarck, only 3 of the 1,415 crew members survived. Dr. Fukushi Masaichi is a pathologist who founded a unique collection of tattoos taken from the corpses of Yakuza gang members. Tokyo, 1987. The steam vibrator. This is the world's first steam-powered vibrator, designed by American Dr. George Taylor in 1869. Dr. Taylor used it to treat female hysteria. Animal experiments to determine the effects of being upside down for long periods in a NASA laboratory. USA, 1958. 80 years ago, members of the White House press corps rushed to telephones after Truman announced Japan's surrender. August 14, 1945. A prisoner from the American Sing Sing prison undergoes Chinese water torture, 1860. Native Americans tear down the statue of Christopher Columbus, Mexico, 1994. One of the last indigenous Tasmanians exterminated by British settlers, 1869. The world's first flying man, Otto Lilienthal, He died in 1896 when his glider crashed from a height of 15 meters. His last words before death were, "Sacrifices are inevitable." North Korean girls sing a song about Kim Il-sung, 1950. British and German soldiers during the Christmas truce, World War I, 1914. Sword Swallower, 1928. An X-ray of the Sword Swallower, one of the most unique photos of that period. A typical wedding during a time of scarcity, USSR, 1963. In the late 20th century in the DPRK, North Korea, there was a famine that claimed, according to official data, from 10,000 to 3 million lives. Harold Whittles hears for the first time in his life after having a hearing aid installed. Nuns relaxing at a casino with slot machines, Australia, 1971. Children in an iron lung before the polio vaccine, 1950. The last photos of Adolf Hitler, where he is examining the ruins of Berlin hours before his death, 1945. Refugees flee south from North Korea on a train to escape advancing communist forces from the north, 1950. Residents of East Berlin flee to the west through a hole in the fence before border guards notice. Berlin, 1961. PFC, Helmut Schmuck, 19th, a paratrooper of the 173rd Airborne Brigade, prepared for his first jump in combat, Vietnam, 1967. A revolver with a camera that takes a picture just before the shot for a report to the client, 1938. France, circa 1945. Boys staring through a bakery window at trays of fresh pastries and bread. The early 1920s saw the peak of sexual liberation and freedom. Numerous unions and organizations began to emerge, promoting a new cultural value, the cult of the nude body. Epidemic of encephalitis lethargica, also known as sleeping sickness, one of the strangest diseases in the history of medicine. People infected with it constantly wanted to sleep and often didn't wake up. The mysterious epidemic, observed in the 1920s, spread to many countries. Joe Matani, a maniac who dismembered bodies, mixed human flesh with animal meat, and made burger patties to serve to customers in his cafe. German prisoners of war, 1945. Stockbroker at the end of Black Monday, Toronto, 1987. Black Day, the one day of the year when black visitors were allowed at the Memphis Zoo, 1959. As the saying goes, the service at a fine restaurant is flawless, no matter the circumstances. A hippie wedding, USA, 1960s. Horse-drawn carriages, trams, early 1900s. A Turkish official taunts starving Armenian children with bread, the Armenian Genocide, 1915. New Year in a Soviet psychiatric hospital, 1988. In 1974, Pharaoh Ramesses II was issued a real Egyptian passport so that his 3,000-year-old mummy could be legally transported to Paris for restoration. In the 1960s, Boeing nearly went bankrupt before realizing it needed to carry more passengers on smaller planes. Representatives of Native American tribes, Navajo, Papago, Apache, and Hopi, sign a document renouncing the use of the traditional symbol of luck and happiness, the swastika, in clothing and jewelry. Arizona, 1940. Gargoyles on the facades of Gothic churches are usually positioned so that rainwater flows from the roofs through their mouths. However, one of the gargoyles at Freiburg Minster is holding onto the wall with its hands and feet, and water pours out of its backside. According to a city legend, during the construction of the cathedral, the city council raised the requirements for the stonemasons without increasing their pay. The stonemasons completed the work, but placed this defecating sculpture opposite the city council's windows. Maria Mandel, after her arrest by U.S. troops, 1945. She was a top-ranking official at Auschwitz-Birkenau responsible for the deaths of over 500,000 female prisoners. The first football kit of FC Barcelona, 1899. A man sentenced to death in a gas chamber. The Westinghouse Electric Company logo on his forehead. USA, 1939. According to the women of the Badi tribe in Ethiopia, the most beautiful man is the one with the biggest belly. Ethiopia, 2013. A young woman showing the awful effects of radiation poisoning. A common punishment in Mongolia for criminals who were put in a small box that they couldn't even fit into and displayed publicly while being subjected to starvation. This 19th century photograph shows an Aztec couple who were the last full-blooded representatives of their people ever captured on camera. The uniform of Archduke Franz Ferdinand from 1914, whose assassination triggered the start of World War I. The photo shows Vincenzo Peruggia, who stole the Mona Lisa on August 21, 1911. Just listen to how easily he did it. He entered the Louvre, where there was neither security nor visitors, took the painting, removed it from its frame, and walked out. A prisoner pulls a box of coal out of a coal face. Russia, 1890. A wedding in a church destroyed by German shells. London, 1941. The real Peaky Blinders and the actors who played them. British and Italian forces clashed in Egypt during World War II, 1940. The Italians won this battle, stabilizing the front for 3 months. A prison in Panama, a net over an abyss, 1920. The crew of the Challenger space shuttle that perished in an explosion 73 seconds into flight. All crew members died, 1986. Frane Salak, dubbed the world's luckiest man, survived 7 catastrophes, including train crashes, plane falls, and car explosions. After cheating death for a lifetime, he bought his first lottery ticket in 2003 and won £600,000. In 1941, after the attack on Pearl Harbor, anti-Japanese hysteria swept the U.S. Here is waitress Ruth Lee, born in America. Fearing she'd be mistaken for Japanese, she sunbathed on the beach alongside a Chinese flag. These 19th century photographs illustrate various levels of intoxication, 1860s. Whether this clip sparked joy, anger, or just a bit of annoyance, I want to hear your thoughts below. Stick around for part 2 coming soon. Please hit like and subscribe to support the channel. See you!